I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Simone, who I'd been with for 5 years, was topless and bouncing on one of the guys' laps in the jacuzzi downstairs. It was very clear to me from the expression on her face and the expression on the guy's face that they were actually having sex. What the fuck? Angry, I took out my phone and took a short video. I thought about changing into swimming trunks, but decided against it. I sat down on a chair in the room and thought, no wonder she didn't want me to go to this party with her. She had been working as a secretary at S&G Funds, a hedge fund company, for about a year or so, and she seemed really happy. Now I know why. Earlier that week, I saw a message arrive on her phone saying there was a company Christmas party this weekend, and she was allowed to bring her +1. When I told her about this, she tried to talk me out of going. "Carl, you will still be bored," she said. "I don't understand this," I said. "Why don't you want me to go with you?" I asked. "Are you ashamed to appear with me in public?" "Of course not, stupid," she said. "They're just financial gurus. There will probably be a lot of boring talk about money and stuff. You'll just get bored." Her company had a habit of holding such parties about once a month, and they were always for staff only. Most of the time, Simone was gone until late at night, and sometimes even until late the next day. I never made a fuss about it, but now I had a better idea of what was actually going on at these events. "I see," I told her. "Well, maybe I'd still like to spend the evening with you." "Have it your way," she said. "If you're going to go, you better clean your tuxedo. But trust me, you probably won't have much fun." On the day of the party, she suggested that I take a pair of swim trunks with me. Swimming trunks? For a Christmas party? Damn, it's December and it's cold outside. "Swimming trunks?" I asked her. "It's awfully cold outside for swimming trunks, don't you think?" "No," she said. "Usually after the main party we end up at my boss's penthouse, and he has a very nice hot tub." "I see," I told her. "So you do this often?" "Yes, almost every time," she said. "Now promise me you'll be on your best behavior tonight, okay?" "I'm always like this," I told her. It didn't sound too good. Why did she have to tell me this? "Why are you telling me this?" "Oh, it's just that these parties can get pretty wild sometimes," she said. "I don't want you to be upset about what you might see. The guys there are quite friendly and can be quite cheeky, if you know what I mean. Well, as long as everyone passes the husband test, there shouldn't be any problems, right?" I asked in response. She smiled and didn't say anything, but kissed me on the cheek. When we got to the main party, Simone introduced me to her friend, Linda. "Linda, this is my husband, Carl," she said. Linda looked at me and smiled. "Husband?" she asked. "It will be fun. You really are a wild and crazy girl, you know that?" she asked with a smile. I wondered what she meant by that. Simone smiled and giggled. "I need to go chat, honey," Simone told me. "Could you get me something to drink? Maybe a little wine." "Come on, let's go," she said to Linda, without even looking back at me. I headed to the bar and got her some wine and a beer for myself. I looked around, but didn't see Simone anywhere. I walked around looking for her, but to no avail. Half an hour later, I sat at an empty table and hoped that she would come looking for me. Meanwhile, I watched as everyone danced and generally had a good time. Nobody said anything to me, and they walked around as if I wasn't there at all. I think she was right. I wasn't having any fun at all, and I was starting to get more than a little angry that my wife would just leave me like that. After sipping beer for a couple of hours, I said, "Fuck this shit," and stood up. I figured if Simone wasn't even going to spend time with me, I'd just go home and leave her with her friends. I headed towards the entrance when Simone and Linda approached me. There were 3 other guys with them, and one of them had his arm around someone's waist. Simone didn't bother to introduce anyone. "Oh, here you are," she said. I could tell she was drunk. "We looked everywhere for you." "Yes, of course, I thought so. When she kissed me, I tasted tequila and something else." "Yes, I was just about to go home since you left me 2 hours ago," I said. "Where have you been?" I asked. She blushed and looked down as the guys next to her smirked at me. I wanted to punch them in the teeth. "We just had a few drinks," Linda said. Simone looked at her strangely. I was wondering what the hell was going on here. What did you drink? I asked Simone. I taste tequila, but there's something else. Oh, nothing, said Simone. Hey, listen, we're all going to Ben's house. He warms up in a hot bath. Are you ready? Probably, I said. Am I going to spend some time with you, or are you planning on leaving me again tonight? Don't be stupid, she said. You'll see me later. I'll go with Linda and the guys if you don't mind. Why don't you come with me? I asked. One of the guys grabbed her hand and dragged her away. You can follow me, dude, he said in a tone that angered me even more. Simone and Linda followed the guys, and I heard them laughing as they left. I got into my car and followed them. When we arrived, I saw that Simone had already changed into her bikini. What the hell is going on here? When we got there, Simone had already gone into the hot tub with two guys who I later found out were named Ben and Dale, two senior partners of the firm. They both seemed like little more than rich frat boys to me. Linda came up to me after they went outside. So, are you thinking that maybe we could meet later in the evening? She asked. What makes you think that I'm even inclined to do this? I asked. I'm married. Oh, she said. I thought you guys had an open marriage or something. What makes you think that? I asked. Well, the way Simone acts around all the other guys, she said. I thought you liked being cuckolded, especially the way she kissed you earlier. What the hell makes you say that? What do you mean about the way she kissed me earlier? I asked. Well, she's already satisfied with Ben and Dale and tried them out, she said. After that, she kissed you. Did you like it? I almost threw up. Her expression changed when she saw my reaction. Oh my God, you didn't know, did you? No, I said. How long has she been doing this? Ever since she joined the company, Linda said. Oh my God, I thought. More than a year has passed. All this time she was their slut and I had no idea. Is that what she did at the party? I asked. Did you have sex and satisfy these two guys? And a few more people, Linda added. I'm sorry, I just assumed you knew. She really loves you, you know. Yes, I feel love, I said. Look, why don't you go upstairs and change, she said. Maybe she'll control herself tonight since you're right here. Yes, exactly, I said. I headed upstairs, and that's when I saw her having sex with those two guys. No matter how much I loved her, there was no way I was going to put up with this. I decided to talk to her about it frankly, and went downstairs. Oh, here you are, Simona said as I walked down the stairs. Why aren't you in a swimsuit? Won't you come with us to the jacuzzi? I grabbed her hand, dragged her into a room that looked like an office, and closed the door. What's the matter, Carl? She asked. What's the matter? I asked. Were you ever going to tell me about an open marriage? What? She asked. That's what Linda told me, I said. I pulled out my phone and played a video of her having sex with two guys in a hot tub. What does all of this mean? I thought maybe you just wanted to humiliate me even more after you dumped me at the party. And is it true that you had sex and satisfied those guys at the party so that I could taste them in your mouth? Come on, Carl, she said. We were just having a little fun. Yes, I satisfied them. So what? This doesn't mean I love you any less. And yes, I fucked them too. This means nothing. I couldn't believe what I heard. She admitted to having sex with them and I just had to go along with it. It means everything, I said. I took off my wedding ring and placed it in her hand. I then grabbed her left hand and removed the ring from it. Carl, what are you doing? She asked. You are a disgusting pig, and right now I hate your guts, I said. Merry Christmas, bitch. I hope it was worth it for you. Don't bother going home. I'm meeting with a lawyer on Monday about the divorce. You can't talk like that, she exclaimed. I love you. I don't want a divorce. I don't care what you want anymore, I said. I know the truth. I know why you didn't want me to go with you. I won't be your cuckold. Goodbye, Simone. I turned and left. One of the guys, I don't know who exactly, called out to me. Hey, bro, are you leaving already? He asked. You know, you have a great wife. I'm glad you like her, I said. From now on, she is all yours." I left the penthouse, went downstairs to my car, and drove home. Simone started calling and texting me after I left, but I ignored her calls. When I got home, I deleted her messages and blocked her number. I changed out of my tuxedo, grabbed some garbage bags, and started throwing her clothes and other things into them. I put them in her car and took her out of the garage. I removed the garage door opener and changed the code so she couldn't get back inside. By then, it was about 2:30 a.m., and I was dead tired. I fell onto the bed and fell asleep instantly. The next morning, I woke up to our home phone ringing. I picked it up without thinking. "Yes," I said when I answered. "Carl, it's me," said Simone. "Please take me." "Fuck you, bitch," I said. "You're not my problem anymore." "Carl, please, we need to talk," she begged. "No, we won't do that. If you have anything to say, you can say it through my lawyer. You really need to come and pick up your car from my parking lot." "I already packed all your stuff in it," I told her before hanging up. She called back immediately, but I turned off my home phone. I had no desire to ever see her face or hear her voice again. I fell back on the bed and fell asleep, and when I got up, I turned on the phone again. That day, after I was finally awake enough to think coherently, I looked and saw that her car was gone. Fine. Maybe it finally dawned on her. I started searching online for a divorce lawyer and read everything I could find about divorce laws in our state. It was a public property state, but we didn't own any real estate, so that wouldn't be a problem. We didn't have children, so there would be no child support. She made the same amount, if not a little more, than me, so I don't think there will be any child support. I also discovered that while most divorces in this state are no-fault divorces, there is a provision for filing a claim on the grounds of adultery, cruelty, or abuse. This would have made the divorce more expensive and would have taken longer to resolve, but I didn't care. After looking, I noted the number of a certain Jenny Hawkins, a lawyer, and decided to call her on Monday. While I was taking my notes, my cell phone rang. I looked but didn't recognize the number. I thought Simone might have used someone else's phone to call me, but it could be anyone, so I decided to answer it. "Carl?" asked a female voice. "It's me," I said. "Carl, this is Linda," the woman said. "I just wanted to let you know that Simone will be staying with me for a few days. Are you really going to get a divorce?" "Yes, that's true," I said. "Carl, it's broken to pieces," Linda said. "She's in her room, crying her eyes out. I'm afraid she'll have a nervous breakdown." "I don't care," I said. "She brought this on herself." "Do you really have no feelings for her at all?" Linda asked. "Yes, right now they can be described as hatred and disgust," I said. "She bullied me for a year or more, and she had the nerve to humiliate me in public." "It's all over between us." "But she loves you?" Linda said. "That's what she says," I said. "Tell me, what did she do after I left? How long did you two stay in the penthouse? Did she have sex with Ben and Dale again?" "She was upset," Linda said. "We were all like that." "You don't answer my questions," I said. "Okay," she said. "Yes, we all had sex last night after you left, but only to help someone feel better. You could have had a good time too if only you had stayed." "Where the hell do people like you come from?" I asked incredulously. "I have to go, Linda. Goodbye." I ended the conversation, and that's when I noticed 2 text messages from numbers I didn't recognize. The messages arrived early this morning after I went to bed. I opened them and noticed that they had videos attached to them. "Missed such a damn party, bro," one message read. I played the video and saw 3 men in the penthouse fucking Simone at the same time. I recognized Ben and Dale, but didn't recognize the third one. Linda stood next to them, naked, watching what was happening. A man I didn't recognize looked into the camera and spoke. "What a wife you have, bro," he said with a nasty grin. "It's a pity that you weren't here." They all laughed when he said that. Even Simone laughed. "Yes, that's what I thought. So much for all the love you have for me." The second video was much the same, except it ended with Ben smearing his seed all over my wedding ring while Simone held it in her open palm. My hatred for her only grew exponentially. I transferred the videos to my computer and made a copy of them for the lawyer. I thought about sending the video to all her friends and family, but decided not to, at least not yet. The information I received from Jenny's website indicated that I needed to be very careful in how I responded to her actions. Any negative reaction on my part could easily ruin my case, her website warned. Okay, I decided to hold off for now. I didn't hear anything from Simone or Linda that day or the next, which was a good thing from my point of view. I spent the rest of the weekend banishing Simone's presence from the apartment. On Monday, I called my boss, explained the situation, and took a few days off. I knew I would be virtually useless, and my boss knew it. He had been through a divorce from an unfaithful wife, so he understood how I felt. I called Jenny's office and made an appointment for that afternoon. On the way to the appointment, I stopped at the bank and did everything I could to get her out of our joint account. I paid off her joint credit card and then canceled it. I withdrew half of everything and opened a new account in my name only. Jenny explained the divorce laws in our state and asked if I would like to file an alienation of affection lawsuit against her boss. She explained that it might not go very far, but there was always a chance given the evidence I had. I told her to do what she thought was best. "Where would you like them to be notified?" she asked me. "In their office," I said. I wanted them to experience some of the same public humiliation that they had subjected me to. She nodded her head and made notes. When we finished, I paid the advance and headed home. On the way, Linda called me. "Hello?" I said when I picked up the phone. "Carl, could you meet me and Simone somewhere this afternoon?" she asked. "Not really," I said. "I just finished meeting with my lawyer, and she advised me to stay away from her. If she has something to say, she can do it through my lawyer. Do you need her contact information?" "Wait," she said. I could tell she had one hand over the phone, and I could hear her talking to someone, but the voices were muffled. A few moments later, it turned on again. "I think that's enough," she said quietly. After I gave her Jenny's contact information, she tried to advocate for Simone one last time. "She really loves you, Carl, and she is ready to make amends to you. Can't you please find the strength to forgive her?" "Well, she has a damn funny way of showing her affection," I said. "And how exactly is she going to make amends to me? Can she turn back time a year? I don't think so. The answer is no. I will never forgive her for what she did." "Okay, if that's what you want," she said. "I'll give this to her, but you know that someday you will have to talk to her." "Not if I don't have to," I said. "What is done. Tell her that she can expect to receive the documents soon." I ended the call and drove the rest of the way home, stopping only to buy a 12-pack of beer and a couple packs of cigarettes. I quit smoking when we first got married, but I felt like I needed to do something to stop myself from punching holes in my walls. Shortly after I got home, the house phone rang. I answered, wondering who was calling now. "Hello?" I said. "Mr. Jacobs, this is Ben Carlson, your wife's employer," said a young male voice. I recognized the voice from the party. He seemed to adopt a more professional tone now that he was back at his desk. "I know who you are, Ben," I said. "What do you want?" "Look, I know you're upset about what happened on Friday, and I want you to know that we all thought you were okay with your wife's actions at the company meetings," he said. "So you knew all this time that she was married?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "But to be fair, she told us that you guys had an open marriage and that you were fine with what she was doing." "And you never bothered to ask me about it?" I asked. "I didn't think I should have done it," he said. "What about the videos you guys sent me on Friday night?" I asked. "What was wrong with that?" "The videos were her idea," he said. "Look, I'm really sorry about all of this. Is there anything I can do to make it up to you?" "Yes," I said. "You can let me kick you in the groin the middle of next week, after you testify against her in court." "Oh, and I'm going to sue you for alienation of affection. If you really want to make amends, you will accept my terms without any objection. Anything else?" "Are you really suing us?" he asked. "Yes," I said. especially since you've been violating your own moral standards for the past year by destroying my marriage. Look, man, it was all just for fun, he said. We didn't mean to ruin your marriage. Well, what the hell do you think was going to happen? I asked. Did you really think that I would just sit back and applaud you for screwing my wife and using her? I think you've read too many stories on the internet. Listen, man, we can handle this, Ben pleaded. Such a lawsuit could ruin us. Not my problem, asshole, I said. You shouldn't have turned my wife into your whore. Goodbye. I hung up the phone and grabbed a beer and then headed out to the balcony to smoke. I didn't hear anything from the traders until Wednesday, when they were notified at Simone's office. I don't believe you actually did it, Linda said. You didn't even give her a chance to explain. Do you have any idea how humiliated she is right now? I really don't give a damn, I said. She didn't care that she was humiliating me with her cheating, so I just, doesn't matter. Goodbye, Linda. Don't call here again, I added, throwing down the phone. God, it felt so good. A few moments later, I received another call. I recognized the number. He was from Ben's office. What? I shouted, answering. You bastard, he hissed. I'm gonna kick your ass. How dare you sue me? Simone wanted to fuck us all, you stupid shit. Maybe you should have taken better care of her. Bring this to court, asshole, I said. How dare you ruin my life? Now I'm gonna ruin yours. I hung up and called Jenny to tell her about Ben's threat. Okay, she said. Today I will file a motion for a temporary restraining order against Simone, as well as her accomplices. I will make sure you receive a copy of the order. Remember what I said, don't do anything stupid. What if he comes to me? I asked. Make sure you have witnesses and don't provoke anything, she said. I understood what she meant. Later that day, there was a knock on the door. True to her word, Jenny applied, and the courier just delivered my copy. I decided to play it safe and bought a small motion-activated camera to film my living room. I also had a good bat next to the front door, just in case. I decided that if Ben or his associates were going to carry out their threats, I needed to have something as proof, and I needed some kind of defense. The situation remained relatively calm until the end of the week. Luckily, I didn't hear anything from Linda, Simone, or her boyfriends. That is, until Saturday evening. I was sitting on my balcony with a beer and a cigarette in my hands when I heard the doorbell ring. This was followed by a knock. I put out the cigarette, walked into the front room, and looked out the door peephole. Sure enough, it was Ben, and I could see someone next to him. The knocking continued. "Open up, Jacobs," he shouted. "I hear you there inside. Open up so I can kick your fucking ass. You're violating a restraining order." "I'm calling the police right now, Ben," I said, dialing 911 on my phone. "You won't dare," he shouted. "Open it now, damn it," he yelled. "Take your medicine like a man, you little weakling." When the 911 operator got in touch, I told them what was happening at my door. "We received a couple of calls in the area and have already sent a couple of patrol cars to your location," the operator said. "In the meantime, don't open the door until the officers arrive." "Thank you," I said, before ending the conversation. The knocking continued, and I began to wonder if he was going to break down the door. I gripped the bat tighter and waited. "Damn it, open it before I break down the damn door," he yelled, pounding on the door. I heard some noise and looked through the peephole. I saw two very large police officers handcuff Ben and another man next to him. One of the officers knocked on my door. "Police," said the officer. I opened the door and saw two men in handcuffs. Ben looked at me as the officer led him back to his patrol car. "I'm not done with you yet, weakling," he yelled. "I'm gonna come back and kick your fucking ass." I looked back at the officer. "You know this person?" he asked. I nodded my head and showed him a copy of my order. He reread it and said something into his walkie-talkie before turning to me again. "We'll take them to the city center," he said. "They will spend the night with us. Can you tell me what it all means?" He took detailed notes while I told him my story. "Thank you for your cooperation," he said when I finished. "I don't think he'll be giving you any trouble for a while." I closed the door and locked it before returning to my balcony with a fresh beer. The next day, news of Ben's arrest hit the newspapers. Hedge fund. CEO arrested, the headline read. The short story below didn't go into detail, but something told me that this was just the beginning of his downfall. Over the next few days, more articles appeared saying that a number of S&G clients were leaving the company. It seems their customers felt they couldn't trust a company that was ruining their employees' marriages. Naturally, this affected the company's bottom line. Okay, I thought. The following Monday, I returned to work. It was difficult, but I managed to get some work done. I didn't hear anything from anyone for about 3 weeks. Then Jenny called me. "Good morning, Carl," she said. "How are you holding up?" "Pretty much as you'd expect," I said. "Is there any news from Simone?" "Yes," said Jenny. "She hired a lawyer and they went to court asking for marriage counseling. The judge agreed and scheduled 6 hearings starting this week." "Can they do this?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "And it would be beneficial for you to appear here. If you don't do this, the judge can charge you with contempt of court and even put you in jail." "I will never reconcile with this bitch," I told her. "I understand," Jenny said, "but you still need to show up. If the lawyer sees that there is no hope for reconciliation, she will inform the judge about this." "Okay," I said. "Was there anything else?" "Yes," said Jenny. "Her lawyer told me that Simone is pregnant. If this is the case, then the court will do nothing more until paternity is established." "So I have to wait another 8 or 9 months?" I asked. "At the moment, yes," Jenny answered. "Shit. If it is your child, you will be ordered to pay child support. However, on a positive note, the judge agreed to a legal separation, at least until she gives birth." "Wonderful," I said. Jenny gave me the consultant's address and wished me luck. I wrote down this information and put it on my calendar. I decided that I had made it clear that there was no way in hell I would put up with a cheating slut. When I got to the consultant's office, I was immediately let inside. The slightly older woman looked at me over her glasses. Simone sat opposite her in a love seat and looked somewhat unhappy. I had a very bad feeling about this. The consultant introduced herself as Dr. Abigail Farnsworth and indicated that I should sit next to the slut on the sofa. Instead, I chose to sit on a smaller wooden chair, positioned at a 45-degree angle to the love seat. "It's good to see that you were able to come, Mr. Jacobs," she said. "I understand that I have no choice," I said, crossing my arms over my chest. "That's right," she said. "Still, I'm glad to see you here." She turned to Simone. "Tell me, Mrs. Jacobs, what do you hope to get from these sessions?" "I want to be with my husband again," she said. "We're going to have a baby, and I want to be a family again." I snorted derisively when she said that. Abigail looked at me. "And what do you hope to get from these sessions, Mr. Jacobs?" she asked. "What I want is for you to understand that I will never put up with this," I said, nodding my head towards Simone. I saw her recoil when I did this. Abigail nodded her head. "Even for the sake of the child?" she asked me. "Honestly, I don't think this is my child," I said. "If by some miracle this happens, I will pay child support and do everything in my power to become his father. But I will never reconcile with her. Period. End of sentence." "Even for the sake of the child?" she asked. I took out my phone and showed the videos they sent me. I showed them to Abigail. She was clearly disgusted by what she saw. When the video ended, I put my phone back in my pocket. "I see you're married, doctor," I said. "Tell me, if it were your husband in these videos and not her, would you want to make peace? What if you found out that he did this to you for over a year and actually did it in front of you? Would you make peace then?" "It's not about me," she said. "This concerns you two, and now you have something to think about." "You're wrong, doctor," I said. "She has a small child to think about. I don't believe her child is mine. In fact, I'd be willing to bet on it. However, I would like to get some answers from her." Abigail thought for a moment, then nodded her head and looked at Simone. "I think he's entitled to some answers, don't he?" she asked Simone. She lowered her eyes in embarrassment, and her face burned with embarrassment. She finally looked up at me before answering. I think so, she said. Abigail looked at me before speaking. The word is yours, she told me. I nodded my head in gratitude and turned back to Simone. The night there was a party, you knew what was going to happen, didn't you? I asked. She nodded her head. Yes, she said. And that's the real reason you didn't want me to go with you, isn't it? I asked. Yes, that's true, she said. I tried to warn you that you wouldn't have fun at all. And you were right, I said. It was the most terrible night of my life. When you kissed me at the party, you deliberately made sure that I could taste those two men in your mouth when you did it, didn't you? Her face turned red for a moment. Yes, I did it on purpose, she said. Why? I asked. Did I really do something to deserve such humiliation? You didn't do anything, she said. We just thought it would be vicious and exciting. So you were all planning to humiliate me, right? I asked. And you intended to humiliate me even more at Ben's house, didn't you? Yes, and yes again, she said embarrassedly. How long have you been having sex with these guys? I asked. Pretty much from the time I joined SNG, she said. Once again, why? I asked. She shrugged. Because I liked it, she said. It was fun. It was mischievous and exciting. They made me feel sexy. How many times have you given me a few casual seconds or kissed me afterwards? I asked. I don't know, she said. Some. Hearing this, I felt like I almost vomited, but I managed to control myself. How many men have you had sex with since you started working there? Not counting me, I said. I don't know, she said. Maybe 4 or 5. Dozen. 4 or 5 dozen? I asked in shock. Have you had sex with 48, 60 other men in the last year? My God, woman, are you completely crazy? Haven't you heard about sexually transmitted diseases? Were you trying to kill me with something? Do you even know who the father of this child is? Not 100%, she said. But you expect me to collect the money and pay for it, don't you? I asked. You are a true master of your craft, you know that? But I love you, she said quietly. Well, I don't love you, I said, and my anger grew. No more. In fact, right now I hate your guts and hope you rot and die of fucking AIDS. They both looked at me in shock. Simone looked like she was about to cry, but I didn't care. In fact, I wanted to hurt her even more with my words and started to say something else, but Abigail stopped me. That's enough, Mr. Jacobs, she said. You expressed your point of view. I see you are determined to throw away 5 good years of marriage. I didn't throw anything away, I said. She did just that the first time she cheated on me with another man. And these were not the best 5 years. Maybe 4. Last year she wasn't really my wife. You heard her. Over the past year she has slept with 48, 60 men. She doesn't even know who the father of her child is. No, I will never, ever come to terms with this. Okay, I think we've heard enough for today, Abigail said. I want to conduct a session with each of you individually, and then we will continue. We made an appointment for next week and left. I heard Simone call out to me as we reached the parking lot, but I ignored her and walked to my car. When I drove out, I saw that she was leaning over the steering wheel, sobbing. Okay, I thought. Let her feel a little pain for once. That evening, I received a call from a very angry Linda. I hope you're damn happy, she shouted. What do you mean? I asked in response. Simone is in the hospital, Linda said. She had a miscarriage. She told me what you said and how you treated her. So what do you want, sympathy? I just told the truth, which is a lot more than she did last year, I said. Didn't you hear what I said? Linda asked. Your wife is in the fucking hospital. Don't you care? Honestly, no, I told her. Oh my God, you really are a bastard, she said quietly. Well, guys, you only have yourself to thank for this, I said. The least you can do is go downstairs and give them your insurance information, she said. Legally, she's still your wife, and you'll still end up getting the bills. I calmed down for a moment and remembered what Jenny told me. Okay, I said. Which ward is she in? Linda told me this information, and I went to the hospital. Once I got there, I went to her room and conferred with the nurse. I gave them my insurance information and spoke briefly with the doctor. "Any idea what caused this?" I asked the doctor. He shook his head. "Hard to say. There are a number of things that can happen during pregnancy," he said. "How long has she been pregnant?" I asked. "I would say maybe 9 or 10 weeks," he said. This meant that it was entirely possible that the child could be mine. However, I will never know. However, it didn't matter. As far as I understood, her miscarriage only meant that the divorce could take place. "How is she doing?" I asked. "She'll be fine," the doctor said. "I want to keep an eye on her for a bit, but she should be able to come home in about a couple of hours." "Thank you," I said before entering her room. She looked terrible lying in bed. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Linda stood at the foot of her bed. "Are you happy now?" She spat at me. "Shut the fuck up, bitch," I growled. Linda backed away from me before leaving the room. I looked at Simone. "I think it's really over between us, isn't it?" she asked. I nodded my head. "Yes, that's true," I said. "Do you really hate me as much as you said this morning?" she asked. "Right this second, no," I said. "But I will never take you back. You have proven that I can never lose sight of you. Every time you went to the store, I would sit at home and wonder if you were having sex with the clerks at the checkout. Besides, I just can't get past your blatant disrespect. I do not understand this. All these years I've treated you like a queen. Did I do something that made you suddenly turn away from me?" "No," she said. "You were the best husband and lover a girl could ever dream of." "Obviously not," I said. "Or you could tell those clowns to fuck off." "It wasn't you," she said. "It was me. They brought out the slut in me. They told me that every guy wants to see his wife fucked by other men. I guess I just bought their bullshit. I saw other girls doing this and thought, why should I miss out on all the fun? And that's all there was. Just fun." "Yes," I said. "It's all fun and games until the spouse finds out." I waited a few moments before continuing. "Look, divorce will still happen no matter what you do. All you are doing is wasting your time and money. End this farce and move on, okay? We're done. I will never take you back." "Okay," she said quietly, and tears streamed down her face. "I'll tell my lawyer tomorrow. And don't ask if we can be friends," I said. "I don't see that happening." Tears continued to roll down her face. "I'm really sorry," she said quietly. I looked at her for a few moments. "Yes," I said, leaving her room. "Goodbye, Simone." As I was leaving, I heard her crying. Cool shit, I thought. Good riddance. A few days later, Jenny called me. True to her word, Simone dropped all her objections to the divorce. Abigail wrote a report saying that reconciliation was impossible. However, she included a suggestion that I take an anger management course. The judge agreed and made the same recommendation, although she did not formalize it as an order. About a month later, Jenny was able to receive compensation from the S&G funds, as well as from Ben and Dale. She handed me the biggest check I've ever seen in my life. "This, of course, is minus my fee," she said. "Of course," I answered. I cashed the check and moved on with my life as it was. S&G, or Sodom and Gomorrah, as I tend to think of them, closed its doors after about 6 months. It appears that its clients felt they could not trust the company with their money. I wonder why, I asked myself ironically. I never heard from Ben and Dale again after that day at the apartment. They both spent 30 days in county jail for their stunt and apparently didn't want to go back. Their reputation in the community was damaged, and they left for greener pastures on the West Coast. Simone and Linda continued to live in the same apartment and eventually began working in a retail store, one of those establishments that specialized in women's clothing and cosmetics. From time to time, I saw them nearby, but I never paid attention to their presence. I remained single and dated periodically for the next 2 years. I finally met Claire Hansen, a recent divorcee, and we dated for several months, each of us taking it slow and casual. Like me, she was burned by her husband's betrayal and was still suffering from it. I understood her pain and did everything I could to support her. For the first few weeks, all we did was talk or go out to dinner and a movie. She was a little more fragile than I was at the time. We spent a lot of time holding hands and walking through the park. I really liked her and decided to let her make the first move. One evening, after a delicious lasagna in her apartment, she looked at me as if she were examining a specimen under a microscope. "Do you find me attractive?" she asked. I smiled and looked into her face. "I find you very attractive," I said. "In many ways, not just one." "Why do you ask?" "I'm just wondering," she said. "You never pestered me. I was starting to think that maybe you don't like girls." "Oh, I really like girls," I said. "It's just that, I think, once you've been burned, you blow on the water twice." "I can understand that," she said. "But we are not all like your ex-wife." "That's right," I said. "And we are not all like your ex-husband. It just so happens that I believe in the sanctity of marriage." She smiled. "I know you do," she said. "I hope you understand that I feel the same way." "I understand," I said. "So what are you going to do with this little information?" she asked. "Do you think you could do more than just kiss me on the cheek?" "Where would you like me to kiss you?" I asked, teasing her. She slowly lifted the dress at the waist. I saw that she was not wearing underwear. I felt excited. She gave me a passionate smile. "Well?" she asked. I smiled. "Oh yes, everything definitely looked good. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one."